Hello, welcome to Wrestle MSX. I'm Michael.
I'm Sally.
Dragon Lee defeated JD McDonagh.
Kofi Kingston defeated Penta.
Rhea Ripley defeated Roxanne Perez.
AJ Styles defeated Finn Balor.
And Bron Breakker defeated LA Knight. Now, as usual, if you would like to know what actually happened,
CM Punk thinks he's LA Knight.
someone's a Barbie with a broken neck.
And finally, someone shows concern for Bayley.
The OTC kicks things off, and after walking around the inside of the ring for about 10 minutes and asking for acknowledgement, he tells us he has big plans. He says he's not the same guy he used to be. He has no bloodline, no wise man, and no titles, which brings him to Bronson Reed. Just then, Paul Heyman appears at the top of the rampway with a tribal thief himself, Bronson Reed. Not my joke, Paul Heyman's. Heyman says he misses Roman, but came out to disrespect him. Roman needs tough love, but he's not tough enough to beat it into him. Reed, though, is. Reed tells Roman that he's the Samoan that his dad and uncle warned him about. Reigns tells him to bring his big ol' ass down to the ring, apologise to the people, give him his shoes back and acknowledge him. Reed says if he comes down, he'll force Reigns to acknowledge his tribal thief. Reigns then heads up to Reed, with the two then fighting back to the ring. Backstages separate the two for a few seconds before Reed gets the best of Reigns and sets up for a tsunami. Roman knocks him from the ropes though, with the two then fighting back up the rampway.
Backstage, we see Dom speaking with El Grande Americano when Balor asks what's going on. Dom says it's all under control and not to worry.
Then you need to worry. First match of the night, Dragon Lee against JD McDonagh. Balor, of course, with JD. Balor was caught getting ready to attack Lee, with the referee then ejecting Balor from ringside. JD then caught Lee with a drop kick as Lee leapt from the top rope just as we hit a break. We come back to both men down in the middle of the ring, then see a Poison Rana from Lee on JD, only for JD to then hit a standing Spanish fly on Lee and cover for two.
A sit-down powerbomb nets Lee a 2 count cover before JD suffers a double stomp from Lee from the top rope. The resulting cover gets 2 as McDonagh placed his foot on the rope. At this point, the broadcast was starting to act up. It became stop-start and the sound went. We then saw Dom at ringside, possibly attempting to do something, with us then flicking back to the in-ring action as if Dom had been thwarted. We then see AJ Styles attacking Dom at ringside.
No idea what's going on. The broadcast then seemed to have sorted itself out, with Dom and Styles fighting off into the crowd, and Lee finishing off JD with Operation Dragon before pinning him for the win.
Backstage, we find Jackie Redmond with LA Knight.
Yeah.
She asks about Breakker and Punk from last week, with Knight questioning whether Punk putting him through a table last week was accidental or not. Knight says he'll win in Paris, before saying woof woof dummy to Breakker, who he has a match with later.
We have a promo from Rusev next, saying he's a super athlete and has his sights set on Sheamus. He says his conscience is clear of what he's about to do and that it's impossible to be good when you're destined to be great.
We then head to the Judgment Day den and see them squabbling over who should have had JD's back in his match against Lee. Rodriguez tells them they can't keep blaming each other. Liv wouldn't want it. Dom then suggests Balor deal with Styles, with Balor saying he'll go speak to Adam Pearce.
Next up, Penta against Kofi Kingston. Kingston with Woods and Big G, of course. Penta dominates the opening, with Kofi then mounting a comeback. Penta then counters Kofi and sends him to the outside, following up with a nothing, as Kingston wisely runs up the rampway away from the impending attack, and then we hit a break.
We come back to Kofi in control and get a replay of what happened during the break. Kingston had back body dropped Penta onto the announcer's desk. Back in the ring, we get a sling blade and a corner headstand from Penta, followed by a cover for 2. A knee and a boom drop keep Penta down, with Kofi then going for trouble in paradise. Penta, though, counters with a kick and then picks up a 2 count after a backstabber.
Penta attempts a Mexican destroyer, but Kofi counters by pushing Penta's legs over his head and then follows up with a famouser and cover, but again for 2. A Penta driver gets another 2, with Kofi then rolling out of the ring. Waller eats a kick from Penta, with Penta then diving over the top rope at Kingston and Woods. Penta then throws Kingston back into the ring and sets up for the Mexican destroyer, but Waller distracts him, allowing Kofi to hit Trouble in Paradise, cover and pick up the win.
Backstage we see Iyo Sky thanking Rhea Ripley for having her back last week, and adds that Asuka and Sane are not happy that Rhea is getting involved in their business. Sky says they should keep their distance for a while, with Asuka and Sane then appearing in the background. Rhea says she gets it and that it's okay, with Sky then thanking her for understanding. The two then hug, but under the watchful eye of the Kabuki Warriors, who then storm off.
Oh dear. Still backstage, we see Adam Pearce telling Stephanie Vaquer that Paris cannot happen and asks her to give him a week to finalise some details so he can then let her know who she's facing and when the championship match is. Vaquer says she understands and will be waiting. I thought they might have had a tournament for the women's title,
Yeah,
not
too.
just...
Yeah.
But she's obviously he's going to find a match.
Yeah, just one match, but... Becky Lynch is out next, and after calling Birmingham a dump and claiming that she won't come running when Nikki Bella calls her out, she is, of course, interrupted by said Bella. Lynch says she's not just going to hand out title shots, especially to Brokeneck Barbie. She knows Nikki blazed a trail, but she doesn't care. She didn't want to respect her, but replace her. Nikki responds by saying that Lynch was Charlotte Flair's little sidekick, with Becky responding saying that she's the greatest women's wrestler of all time, and that it's not just her saying it, but Sports Illustrated.
Nikki says Becky is desperate and asks if the man has lost her cojones. Nikki adds that Becky is a coward, with Becky then saying that Nikki can have her match at Clash in Paris. After blasting Birmingham a little more, Nikki grabs the title and says at Clash in Paris you'll hear Bella, the new Intercontinental Champion. The two then scuffle, with Nikki escaping the manhandle slam and Becky escaping the rack attack 2.0 and up the rampway.
Backstage, Jackie is with CM Punk and she's looking for a response from him about what LA Knight had to say. Punk knows what's at stake, and leading up to Paris he was just trying to get everyone on the same page. Punk says he's obsessed with the World Heavyweight title, and if he has to, he'll beat and cripple all of his opponents, with everybody saying, CM Punk.
We have a promo from Sheamus, who tells Rusev to bring his A-game and aggression come Clash in Paris, because he made him irrelevant again.
Out next, Rhea Ripley against Roxanne Perez. Perez with Raquel Rodriguez. Ripley lays in the punches and kicks, but Perez escapes the ring, only for Rhea to follow and throw her back in, where she continues the beatdown and looks for a riptide. Perez manages to unbalance Rhea, causing her to drop Perez, who once again escapes to the outside.
Rhea goes out after her quarry again, but gets distracted by a big mummy call. This allows Perez to enter and then dive out the ring at Rhea and take control when back in the squared circle. Perez works over Rhea's knee, lands a springboard moonsault and covers for 2. We hit a break, come back and see Rhea set Perez up for the Razor's Edge, only for Rodriguez to grab Perez's foot and pull her down.
Perez then gets a 2 count after Hurricane Rana from the turnbuckle and knee to the back of Rhea's head, with Rhea then stopping any momentum from Perez with a headbutt and Razor's Edge, covering for 2. Rhea then attacked Perez, who was on the rope, but Perez moved with Rhea kicking Rodriguez instead, allowing Perez to score another 2 after a quick roll-up on Rhea. Rhea then blocked a Russian leg sweep by Perez, headbutted her, and then put her down with a riptide. This did for Roxanne, as Rhea then covered and got the 1-2-3.
After the match, Raquel entered the ring and beat on Rhea, with Perez joining her Judgment Day teammate. This, of course, brought out Iyo Sky, who performed those ridiculous-looking uppercuts on Rodriguez before taking out Perez. Rhea then landed a headbutt to Raquel, with Sky then sending her from the ring with a springboard missile dropkick.
Backstage, we see Seth Rollins ask Reed if he's mad and peed off, with Reed answering yes to both. Seth tells Reed he's going to destroy Roman Reigns at Clash in Paris and he can't wait to see it, with Seth then turning to Breaker and telling him he's going to make sure LA Knight doesn't even make it to Paris.
You know, because they're going to Paris, is it going to be a La Night as opposed to LA Night?
Yeah, I like it.
Anyway, thank you. More next week. Up next, AJ Styles against Finn Balor. But before that, we head backstage and see Rhea thanking Sky for the save. As Rhea goes, Asuka and Sane come over, shouting in Japanese, with Asuka telling Sky to stop talking to her, as in Rhea. Asuka walks off, with Sky telling Sane to trust her.
So, back to Balor and Styles. Balor sends Styles to the outside, with Styles then re-entering the ring and sending Finn to the outside. Styles leaps after Balor, with the two then getting back in the ring and exchanging chops in the corner. Balor then sends Styles crashing back into the outside after drop-kicking him from the apron, as we then hit a break.
A Pele, or as I like to say, a Pele kick and sliding forearm down Balor, with Styles then covering Balor for 2 after an Ushi-Goroshi. Balor then ducks a phenomenal forearm and lands a sling blade before shotgun drop-kicking Styles and then missing a coup de grace. After an exchange of counters and pin attempts, Styles lands the Styles Clash and covers for the win.
Backstage, we see Jey speaking to Reigns, saying he doesn't know who to trust. Reigns tells him to stop worrying, do it for himself, and go out there and smash them all.
Nice. We get another Bayley vignette, and the voice in her head is actually encouraging, telling her we believe in ourselves. Bayley agrees, with the voice then taking a sinister turn, saying no one talks about her anymore. The voice calls her stupid and doesn't care what she says. Bayley asks the voice to stop, which eventually it does, with the screen then fading to black.
Backstage, we join Lyra Valkyria, who's voicing her concern over Bayley to Adam Pearce, with Lyra saying someone should check in on her. Lyra heads off, with Dom then asking Pearce that he needs more and that things need to end with AJ Styles. Pearce says next week on Raw it'll be Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship. Pearce heads off, with Dom saying, Charles Xavier, this does not work for me.
After some clarification on the matches for Clash in Paris, we see Bron Breakker heading out for his match with LA Knight when he's attacked by Reigns. Reed tries to help out but suffers a Superman punch before backstagers separate the two. Adam Pearce then tells Breakker he has a match and to get to the ring when Breakker is attacked by his opponent, La Knight.
Knight drags Breakker to the ring, beating him along the way, with us then hitting a break. We come back and we can finally say last match of the night. LA Knight versus Bron Breakker. Knight starts well but soon gets dropped with a clothesline from Breakker after running the ropes. Bron suplexes Knight, but Knight answers with punches, a leg sweep and clothesline, sending Breakker to the outside.
Knight, of course, follows but gets thrown into the ring steps as we hit a break. We come back and find we're back in the ring with Knight getting a 2 count to cover. A failed neckbreaker allows Bron to set up and execute the Frankensteiner, followed by a cover, but only for 2. Knight then turns a gorilla press into a DDT, with the two men then having a yay boo off, exchanging punches.
Knight wins out, landing a neckbreaker, with us then having a little slip up on moves. I think Bron was going for a gorilla press again, but over-egged the pudding and threw Knight too far over his head when lifting. The two sorted it out though, with Breakker avoiding a middle rope attack from Knight and then dropping him with a clothesline. Bron ran the ropes looking for the spear, but Knight caught him with a boot and covered for 2.
Knight then superplexed Breakker before landing his top rope elbow and then looked for the BFT. It's then that we hear Burn It Down, with Seth heading out. Seth heads down to the ring, which causes Knight to get out of the ring and chase after him. As Knight gives chase, Breakker is there, of course, to spear him before throwing him back into the ring, run the ropes, spear him again, and cover.
Breakker gets the 3 count and wins the match, with Seth then getting in the ring and giving Knight a beatdown. This draws out Jey, who tosses Breakker out and goes for Seth. Breaker comes back and distracts Jey, allowing Seth to pedigree the Uso. Seth taunts both his opponents when we then hear the static of CM Punk's music. Seth sends his guard dog, but Punk sees him off before getting in the ring.
Seth and Punk then go at it, giving us a glimpse of what's to come on Sunday, with Punk gaining the advantage. Breaker pulls Seth from the ring, and the pair escape up the rampway with Heyman, while Punk helps Jey up in the ring. Punk and Knight then get into a shoving match, with Jey playing peacemaker. Knight then pushes Jey away, and returns to pushing Punk.
Punk then pushes Knight into Jey when escaping a BFT, with Punk then looking for a GTS on Knight, which Knight escapes, but then ends up getting super kicked by Jey. Punk and Jey look on at the downed Knight, with Jey then super kicking Punk, much to the delight of Seth. Raw goes off the air with a big yeet fest.
I mean, great, yeah, love that. And obviously Jey super kicking Punk out of nowhere. Yeah, look, there's no friends here. But when you think about the collective and like the good guys,
Yeah.
you've got Seth and Bronson, but then you've got Jey, Punk, Knight, and Reigns. So it's kind of 4 on 3. I just feel that Seth's gang need just one more. I just
Yeah.
Because how many times can you keep fighting Reed? How many times can you keep fighting Breaker?
I think they could. Yeah.
Because Seth's not going to get involved because he's got the title. And if
No,
in a
he
title
doesn't
shot,
need
he
to.
doesn't need
He's
to.
got his goons to
It's
do
just
as
them.
well,
He's
yeah.
got the goon squad. You just, I don't know. You just need one.
I don't know
more.
who it would be, but yeah.
Austin Theory. No, I don't know. Well,
I'd say a woman, but then would there be any point?
no, because
they're not-
can't
they're
get
not-
involved with the men. She
Yeah,
can,
exactly.
but she can't.
Yeah.
She can't. Anyway, now for Michael's moment of the night. As I've said before, and I will keep going on about, this could be a match, a line, a look, a promo, something funny, interesting, quirky, different, just something that catches my eye. Obviously this has to wait until the end, because if I do it halfway through and it's something that happens at the end, it's kind of a spoiler. So Michael's moment of the night is nothing. There was nothing of note tonight in my mind. It was all very plain sailing, just building up to obviously Clash in Paris. Nothing jumped off the page, so I can only apologise for that. If there was a little thing, it was probably Bronson Reed and Roman Reigns at the start and their little promo offer against their little speeches. Nobody slipped up. It worked. It was clever. I say Reigns telling him to get his big old ass down to the ring. It makes you laugh. So if anything, it's just their little tete-a-tete.
Fair enough, yeah. If you think any differently, then please feel free to say why in the comment section down below.
Thank you again for watching if you do.
And we'll see you Wednesday for a look at this past week in WWE and Thursday for our Clash in Paris predictions.